Hello, everyone. Doug Wilkerson here with Central Christian Center, Joplin, Missouri, and Saturday Night Live here, also Joplin, Missouri. And I'm glad you're here, and I think I'm reasonably pleased that I'm here. And so I just want to say good Thursday afternoon. Seems to be reasonably pleasant. I came out of the office and saw that it had been raining a little bit, but we've had plenty of rain. But my grandson is anxious to start getting in the swimming pool, so I know that's coming up, even though we've already got in before, and it was like 60-some degrees water temperature. So anyway, it was a little chilly, but other than that, it's great. But I'm glad you're here, and this is Doug with an encouraging word for you, and hopefully it will be encouraging because it's I want to make you think. I want you to think and maybe think a little differently than you have, and I think if you think differently, then you'll live differently, feel differently, believe differently. And I just want a better life for you, and maybe something that I can say can be helpful. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing how this turns out. And by the way, if you like what I'm saying, please let me know. Let me know by comment, thumbs up, heart. If you don't like what I'm saying, I'll go ahead and tell me. That'd be fine. I just let me know what your thinking here is about what we're doing, because we really want to add value to you and to your life. Today, this is my question. Here you go. Are you ready for questions? This is my question, and that is: Can fear and love coexist in the same thought? Can fear and love coexist in the same thought? What do you think about that? What in the world is he going to say about this? Well, I'm going to tell you. And the bottom line that I want you to get out of today, the encouraging word, is I want you to maybe see love in maybe in a new way, a deeper way. Maybe even in a more real way. That's my challenge today. So, can love and fear coexist? Can dark and light coexist? Can oil and water coexist? Those are some interesting questions, right? Well, you know some of those, but let me go ahead and give you the answer to the first question. Fear and love cannot coexist in the same thought. We get this out of the Bible, and we get this from science, and hopefully I can give you a little bit of that information today that can help all of us. And I believe it's helping me, and hopefully it'll help you too. It's helped me in the past, and I think it's continuing to help me. Our centerpiece scripture here today is out of 1 John 4:18, and this is out of the NIV translation. And it says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear." This is one of the important parts to me here today, and that is because fear has to do with punishment. King James says torment. The one who fears is made not made perfect in love. Now, I have a little illustration here for you. Hopefully you like illustrations. And what I have here is I have some water that's colored. I have some soap that's colored. It's green. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that all right? I'm going to tip it up there. So you got green, you got water that's red, and then you have some oil right on top. You see that? And they're all in their own spaces. They all seek their own levels of here in this vase, and it's as in well, they're a little mixed up because I just made this, so it's a little bit, but generally as given time, they will all separate, and you all understand that. But in life, things get shook up, and things get worked up, and things get mixed up. Wow, look at that. It's all mixed up. And that's how life is oftentimes when we're dealing with, we're going to stick it close to just love and fear. But given time, all these things will settle and come back and find their own level. Now, love has its level and fear has its level. And you know, if you just think about fear and anger and anxiety, that's heavy. In fact, in Proverbs, and I taught on this here a month or so ago, is that anxiety in the heart of a man weights him down. It pulls you down. It weights you. It's heavy. But a good word makes him glad. A glad heart lifts him up. It's light. And love brings you up. And so today I just want you to recognize that we don't have to be weighted down. It is our choice, even though a lot of us didn't realize we had that choice, and some of you still don't know that you have that choice, but you do. You do. I want to go back to 1 John 4:18. This is out of the Amplified Bible. And so there's things in here, the way that this translation says it that I really like. And it says, "There is no fear in love. Dread does not exist." Now that's a real strong statement. Dread does not exist. Where does it not exist? It does not exist in love. Okay? But perfect, complete, full-grown love drives out fear. Wow, that's a strong statement. It drives out fear because fear involves the expectation of divine punishment. Whoa. Because fear involves the expectation of divine punishment. Wow. Think about that. For the one who is afraid of God's judgment is not perfect in love. Those are some pretty strong statements. I like this out of the New Living Translation. It says, "Such love has no fear, because perfect love expels all fear." Man, just like the oil expelled from the water and the oil, or from the soap, it they start pushing themselves apart. Yes, they don't combine, they are separate, but then they start pushing themselves apart, coming into their place. So my challenge to us all today is that we need to choose love, not fear. Well, you say, I didn't choose fear. It just came upon me. It just was there. It's just automatic. That's just the way it is. That's just the way I am. That's how I respond. And that's how it seems. But what if that's not really the way that it is? I like this comment from Marianne Williams. She says, "Love is what we were born with." I want to say that again. Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we learn here. That's another interesting statement. We learn fear. Well, think about it now. If God is love, and if all of His is love, and if He created us in love, then what we've done, we've learned fear here in this earth. And boy, it's hard to unlearn some things that we've learned. We all know that, right? It's not impossible, but it is hard. 1 John 4:7 says this, as beloved, let us love one another, for God is love. God is love. He's given us love. He's created us in love. So God is not fear. We know this out of 2 Timothy 1:7. It says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a soundness of mind. He's not given us a spirit of fear. So if we realize that we have an option, we have a choice, we can make a new choice if we're overwhelmed with anxiety and fear and stress, anger, then if we realize we do have a choice. There was a day in my life I didn't know that I had a choice. I thought I am what I am and that's all that I am and I'm stuck with that. But that's not the truth. We can make a different choice. It's not easy, but it is healthy. The brain has an area in it that's called the amygdala. The amygdala is designed to help us. It's there for our survival mechanism. It's our survival part of our brain. They say that the amygdala has a more direct route to into our system, and that the brain waves travel faster in the amygdala into our system. And it actually says the amygdala also shuts down other parts of our brain. And you've heard me say this before, that one writer says that when we get overwhelmed and our amygdala comes online, it shuts down our other parts of our brain. It actually causes us to be dumber because you're not able to think. Because you don't need to think in survival, you just have to do what you need to survive. But the trouble is, we all live now in this day and age, we live totally in survival. And we're in that fight or flight or flee type mechanism all the time. And so we're overwhelmed with stress because everything's a threat. And if everything's a threat, then we stay wound up all the time, emotionally anxious. Some so much so that they call it PTSD, and it has really an effect on you mentally, emotionally, physically, on your body, and also socially, and every other part, financially. And so what we have to do is we need to learn that we need to help ourselves. And what I'm talking about here today is God's love, to be able to come into that place of rest. If you can't rest, if you can't come into peace, because you're staying in that stressful state all the time, then your body and mind and emotions is going to be continually affected, because whatever's the weakest is going to be affected the most. So, what we need to do is we need to find a safe place. And that's here a few weeks ago, that's when I talked about the secret place of the Most High and coming into that place. Hopefully, a little bit more of this information can help you in that area. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said this many years ago. In fact, I studied this back in the 70s. and I thought it was very good then, and has really affected my life since then. And she said this, she says, there are only two emotions, fear and love. From love flows happiness, contentment, peace, and joy. From fear comes anger, hate, anxiety, and guilt. So that you understand, she's saying there's only two primary emotions, and everything else flows out of one of those two. And she says, actually, there's only love and fear. And that you can't feel both of those feelings, love and fear, at the same time. You're either in one or the other, because they are opposite. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Another great philosopher that many are familiar with, maybe more so than Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, is John Lennon. You know John Lennon. He said this. He says, there are two basic motivating forces, love and fear. He said, you'll either be in fear and pull back from life, or you'll be in love and you'll open up with passion and excitement and an acceptance. John Lennon. Neville Garter, which is a minister from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, he made this statement that I really like, and so listen tight to this. He says, see yourself from the state. State is basically, we're using this term state, not as like Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma, but we're talking about mental, emotional state, physical state, spiritual state, more of those things, but primarily we're looking at emotional state right here. He says, thinking of the state versus thinking from the state. Oftentimes we think of something, we think about it, and I'm going to give you some more illustrations here in a minute, thinking about something, and what he's saying is, instead of thinking about it, he's saying be in it. He goes on to say it in a couple of different ways. And he says, don't think of it, see from it. I like that one. Next one is living from it versus thinking of it. So what we need to do is we need to be in that. I had this illustration come to my mind this morning about swimming, talking about swimming earlier, and you can think about or remember a time that you were swimming. You can just remember it, or you can actually put yourself back in the memory, and you could actually feel the water, remember how the temperature, how it felt, the current, the wind, how your surroundings were around you, whether it was shady or sunny, and just the day. Or I had folks, that some of their safe places, or where they like to go to relax mentally and emotionally, is like to the beach. I know my brother Greg and sister-in-law, they like to go to the beach. They like to be there, and they like to be able to lie on the beach and see the water and feel the water and smell the salt and you can go to the beach and be right here in the middle of the country. Because you can actually then feel what you have felt, which is so important, and that changes your mental state, it changes your emotional state, and it also can affect your physical state. One more illustration on that to try to help, and that is that you can go to a movie and you can watch it as a spectator. You can observe the movie. Or you can go to the movie and you can be a participant, because you can emotionally get into the movie. You can feel it because they designed the movie to connect with you emotionally, with the colors, the sound, to help you to relate with what's going on, so you could get more connected with it. And they do that on purpose, and to be able to get you involved and to put you in a different state of mind and emotion. And when you leave the theater or you stop watching the movie, you can carry that state with you. And we do that all the time, whether we realize it or not. So Garter says the secret is feeling the feelings. Feelings is the secret. So what we need to do is we need to feel. And one of the best tools to help us to do that is gratitude. And gratitude can stir up our love. And gratitude is that we don't create something, say that we should be grateful for or love, but that we remember things that we are grateful for. We feel again what we've already felt and stir that up. And when you do that, that changes how you're thinking, that changes how you feel, that changes your chemistry in your body. You're there, and you're able to experience it. And Stephen Liskin says that when you're in that place of gratitude, that you're able to have forgiveness, and when you're in that place of forgiveness, you're able to let things go. And so what we need to do is practice gratefulness. What is the relationship between love and fear? Well, on the surface, love is a positive emotion that fosters a connection between people. Fear, on the other hand, does just the opposite. Fear, when you come up to a person or a thing or an object that you're afraid of, you disconnect from that. We use fear all the time to help put a barrier between us and whatever we're afraid of, to keep us safe. At least that's what we're thinking. But sometimes what we're pushing away isn't always unsafe, because we're so into using fear as protection, and what we're doing is basically isolating ourselves and distancing ourselves. Yes, right now we're supposed to have distancing far as people, but that doesn't mean we have to be emotionally distant. We can be emotionally connected, but physically distant. And one of these days, then we'll be able to be physically connected. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said this, and I like this. He says, darkness cannot drive out fear. No, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So my opinion today that I'm going to give is that I would recommend that you choose love and deal with your fear. Fear just won't go away. It'll continue to grow. And you can try to run from it, but it chases you, and it gets bigger. We have to deal with it. We have to step into it. We have to decide that I'm going to feel the fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to empower myself with love to empower me to go ahead and step into those things that I need to deal with. Take control back of my mental, emotional, and spiritual life. I'm going to conclude with this, and this is another quote from Joseph Campbell. He says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." I'm going to say that again. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So we have to go ahead and step into that fear, empower yourself with love, and then that will give you the strength and the power to go ahead and defeat the enemy of fear, because fear is a liar. Okay? And love propels fear. Love cannot coexist with fear. The question is, what are you going to choose today? Thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for hearing this, whether it's morning, noon, or night. Thank you for listening, and hopefully this has been beneficial, and that I've added value in your life. Please, if it's created a thought or an idea or a big idea or an insight, please share that with me. That'd be awesome. And the biggest thing that I want is I want to add to your life and bring you into a greater place of peace and happiness. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you and give you His peace. So for today, good day, good night, good life.